It's Sunday, August 29th, 2021. This is all about your Benjamins and your weekly mixtape and weekend review video. I feel like I say this a lot of times, but I cannot believe that it's already the end of a new month, end of August. Summer is over, school's been back in session for a while for our kids, but seeing in other areas of the country, kids going back to school, it's just wild to think about how fast this month has gone by. But let's get to the headlines that may or may not be impacting your financial plan and portfolio. And you'll see down below, we've got about 6 articles to cover real quick. A couple of them go together, so it shouldn't be too long. And the first is we're gonna go to the Fed and Chairman Powell talking about inflation and what might be coming up when it comes to the Fed, scaling back the amount of bond purchasing they're doing, tapering the bond purchases later this year. So as we talked about many times over the years, the goal of the Fed is to try to keep inflation and the money supply in good shape. 2% is where they want to have inflation. Right now we're seeing inflation ticking up, so it's kind of time for them to decide what they're going to do with the monetary policy that they have control over to try to control everything. And Chairman Powell said that they're looking at scaling back the purchasing, which is putting less money into the markets, into the economy, which would hopefully kind of keep things at bay. So we'll see what happens. Now, when they do decide to finalize this, chances are the market is not going to love that in the short term. They want cheap money, they want money flowing so people can invest, businesses can invest, move forward. So it would be reasonable to expect that the market may have a negative reaction in the short term to that news. Now, just because it's reasonable to expect that, I think what we've seen over the last couple of years, especially last year, is that what's reasonable does not always mean that's what's going to happen. So not that you should be making any investment decisions around this upcoming news, but just more of if the market does sell off because the Fed tapers more, it shouldn't be a surprise, it shouldn't be overreaction. You knew it was going to happen and then things will reset and go forward. But one thing to think about is it would not be a bad idea if the market is going to sell off. And sell-off could be 3-4%. It doesn't have to be a huge decline, but if the market is going to have a negative reaction, why not do it sooner rather than later, assuming the economy is strong as it looks, which is one of the things we're looking for, because the markets are up pretty good this year. So if we have a small step back and the markets are up double digits, they have some room to kind of absorb this initial reaction and then move forward, and the markets will still be good. And if people see that the Fed begins to taper but the 401k still look good, the market still is positive for the year, that may make it a little bit easier and less scary for them. Just a thought and opinion. So I don't want to be in his shoes having to figure all this out, trying to navigate inflation, but that's the language we're seeing. We've talked about it in the last couple of weeks as well, that they're talking about doing this. So it just looks like that tapering is going to happen later this year, assuming all things stay the same. They're looking at unemployment, they're looking at the economy. Obviously Delta variant could really throw a wrench in things, but that is where things are as of today. Let's go to jobless claims. I mentioned they're looking at jobless claims. They ticked up about 350,000, which is keeping us at the lows of where unemployment's been for the pandemic. So nothing major there, but that does dovetail into on the September 6th, the enhanced unemployment benefits are going to be scheduled to be going away. So we have coming into the fall, Delta variant ramping up, and people are going to be losing their enhanced unemployment benefits. And I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or bad thing. Well, I have to take that back. I know for many that will be a bad thing. There are many people who the jobs that they lost have not come back, and maybe the skills that they have, the opportunities around them, do not put them in an opportunity to go somewhere else and find employment. However, I do think there are a good percentage of people who are just riding those benefits out because it's easier to make a little bit more money doing nothing than to go back to work. I have business owners, my wife, business owners as clients. My wife is a small business owner, and hiring right now for those types of jobs is not very easy. So if you could stay home and potentially earn more than going to work, I understand where the incentives lie. So I think that this will be a good thing and a bad thing. It may be some people who have been waiting for this to go out will go back to work. So we see the unemployment numbers drop, employment gets back up, but there are people who are going to be on the outside looking in, just as everything. So just something to be aware of, that those benefits are scheduled to end, and we'll have to see what that means to unemployment and other things as well. We'll go to COVID, and the FDA gave Pfizer a full approval for their vaccine. So we're seeing more and more states and organizations and schools and businesses requiring vaccination papers to show that their employees, their guests, their students have been vaccinated. Obviously that brings in a political discussion that I don't want to have, but that just continues to drive this two sides, one against the other, as far as vaccinated or not, should we not have to. I guess the only comment I would say to this is, the boys went to school, they had to get vaccinated against diseases of the past before they could go in. I understand the concern about how quickly this was put together, but there's some great research out there, some great pieces out there that kind of highlight the difference between this vaccine being put together versus ones of the past as far as research and money and who all was working on it. So I totally get where people go. I have this mindset of optimism, and I don't want to believe the conspiracy theory things out there, so I just choose to be, maybe it's naive and maybe optimistic, but I think it's a easier way to go through life. So anyways, I guess I did get a little bit onto a tangent from that, but everybody's entitled to feel the way they want, but I just think that having it get the FDA approval will be a positive, hopefully, but I also think it will mean we'll see more requirements coming out, and that will kind of cause a little bit more disagreement and arguments across the public. And finally, just kind of go on a fun tangent. So obviously with my time at OnRamp, I'm getting deeper and deeper into the crypto space. I totally see how it can change the way that we're used to doing business, the way that we're used to handling our money, and I'm honestly optimistic about what's coming from it. The article here just highlights how cryptocurrency firms want to have access to the federal payment system, so the way to move money. And one of the things I'm learning at OnRamp is how difficult that is to move money and how old school it is. ACHs, wires, they take a long time. The technology is in the crypto space to make these payments very quick, accessible right away, but that doesn't work with the current system. So cryptocurrency companies want to get access to the current system to be able to move money more freely amongst themselves and speed things up. And obviously the traditional banking system doesn't want that because it's a threat to them. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. But I do see the value, the importance, as we're trying to build things out for financial advisors and make it easier to move money. Right now, with what is in existence, it's not as smooth and streamlined as it should be and as it could be. So we are working on doing our part to change things as well. But I just thought I'd share that because you're seeing cryptocurrency companies get on the radar of these larger banks, the larger organizations, and naturally the incumbents don't want to give up because it means a threat to their business. So we'll see how things go and who's the first to crack that and get through, and then I think you'll see more and more crypto companies having the ability to have access to that. So very interesting, exciting stuff. Obviously, I'm all about it, being that I'm spending a good amount of my time doing that. Silas wanted to come in and say hello real quick, grab his rake. With that, that is the end of this week's mixtape review. Hope you had a great week. Check the mixtape articles down below. Hopefully here pretty soon the bugs will go away and we'll have less background noise for these, but enjoying the outside while I can. So have a great week. We'll see you next week. Mixtape articles down below. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, all those great things, and we'll see you all in the next episode.